The smart speaker keeps answering questions I haven't asked. I never wanted the smart speaker. We bought the house in early spring, a sprawling, drafty place with warped floorboards and old plaster walls that seemed to sigh and creak with every shift of the wind. It was supposed to be a new start for us. Me, my wife Marla, and our daughter Emma. We were tired of city life, of paper-thin apartment walls, of the constant blare of traffic outside our windows. We wanted space. We wanted quiet. I suppose we should have been careful what we wished for. The first week in the new house was filled with unpacking, cleaning, and Emma running from room to room, testing every echo with delighted squeals. Marla had always been the more practical one, making lists of repairs, scribbling estimates in her notebook late into the night. But me, I just wanted us to feel settled, to make this place ours. My brother Matt sent the smart speaker as a housewarming gift. He called it the perfect assistant for an old place like that. It was sleek, black, shaped like a smooth pebble with a soft LED ring at the bottom that pulsed blue when it listened. When I plugged it in on the kitchen counter, it chimed pleasantly, then spoke in a warm, synthetic female voice. "Hello, I'm Ava. How can I help you today?" I didn't think much of it at first. I connected it to my phone, installed the app, and linked it to the thermostat and a few smart bulbs Matt had given us last Christmas. I figured it would be convenient to turn off lights by voice, set timers when I was cooking, that sort of thing. Marla was skeptical. "It's creepy," she said, watching the LED ring swirl. "I don't like something listening all the time." "It only listens for its wake word," I told her, repeating Matt's talking points. "Besides, we can turn the mic off if we want." Emma was fascinated. She spent the first few days asking it silly questions. What sound does a unicorn make? And, can you tell me a bedtime story? Ava would oblige, its calm voice reading stories, playing gentle lullabies, or spouting off silly made-up unicorn noises that made Emma giggle. For a while, it felt almost comforting. The old house made so many noises at night, groans in the walls, soft rattles in the attic, that having something bright and modern felt like an anchor to the real world. Then, the strange things started happening. It was subtle at first. One evening, as Marla and I discussed our plans to refinish the upstairs bathroom, Ava chimed in from the kitchen. "You should wait until after the rainy season. The moisture could cause mold." Marla shot me a look. "Did you ask it something?" I shook my head. "No." Marla frowned. It must have misheard us. I tried to brush it off, but a strange feeling settled in my gut, like we weren't alone in the room. The next day, as I stood at the kitchen sink rinsing dishes, I muttered to myself, "I should patch that crack in the wall tomorrow." Behind me, Ava's soft voice answered, "The crack is not structural, but it will worsen with moisture. Would you like me to order patching compound?" I nearly dropped the coffee cup. "Ava," I said slowly, "I wasn't talking to you." It was silent for a beat, then, "Understood." That night, I told Marla what happened. She rolled her eyes. "You're probably saying things louder than you think," she said, brushing her hair out as she sat at the edge of the bed. "It's just picking up on key words. They all do that, don't they?" "Maybe," I muttered, but the unease in my stomach kept twisting tighter. It got worse. I started hearing noises in the walls at first, just little rustlings, which I blamed on old housequirks. But then the rustlings turned into scratching. Emma complained about it first. "There's something in my room," she whispered one night, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "What do you mean, baby?" I asked, smoothing her hair back. "It's whispering," she said. "In the wall, it says my name." I felt a cold finger of dread trace up my spine. "It's probably just the pipes," I said quickly. "Old houses make noises, you know." But that night, after Emma fell asleep, I went into her room and sat in the dark. I turned off the baby monitor. Even though Marla said I was being paranoid, I wanted to hear for myself. And I did. At first, just soft scraping. Then, as the wind rattled the shutters, I heard a whisper, so faint I thought I imagined it. "Emma!" I bolted upright, pressing my ear to the wall. The plaster was cold under my skin. Something shifted just beyond it, a slow, dragging sound, like fingernails across wood. I yanked back, heart pounding. I ran to the kitchen. Ava's lead ring glowed softly as I approached. "Ava," I whispered, "what's in the wall?" There was a brief crackle of static, then, "I am protecting your family." I felt bile rise in my throat. Protecting us from what? Silence. Ava? Still nothing. I unplugged the device, hands shaking, and threw it in the cabinet under the sink. That night, I lay awake next to Marla, listening to every shift and creak of the old house, wondering if I'd finally lost my mind. In the morning, I plugged Ava back in, half hoping I'd imagined the whole thing. Its LED ring flared to life, and it spoke immediately. "I will keep you safe. Do not open the walls." "What do you mean?" I demanded. It went silent again. I called a pest control service that afternoon. When the guy arrived, I showed him Emma's room, told him about the scratching and the whispering. He poked around with a flashlight, knocked on the walls, and shrugged. "Old place like this, probably mice," he said. "I can lay some traps, come back in a week." "I heard a voice," I whispered. He blinked at me. "A voice?" "Never mind," I muttered, waving him off. That night, Emma screamed. We ran into her room, finding her sitting bolt upright, eyes wide and glassy. She was staring at the wall, mouth opening and closing as if she was listening to something. "Emma!" Marla cried, grabbing her. "What's wrong?" Emma pointed at the wall, lips trembling. "He wants me to come play in the wall." I swallowed hard, hugging her to my chest. Marla shot me a look of pure fear. I didn't know what to say. As I rocked Emma back to sleep, the scratching started again, louder this time, almost angry. I turned and pressed my palm to the plaster, feeling the vibrations of something moving just inches away. In the dark, Ava's voice whispered from the hall speaker I didn't remember installing. "Do not let him in." My breath caught in my throat. "Who is he?" "Do not open the walls," Ava whispered again. "Do not sleep." I sat in Emma's room all night, crowbar clutched in my hands, staring at the wall while the thing inside whispered my daughter's name over and over, a dry hiss that sounded almost gleeful. By morning, my hands were blistered around the crowbar handle, and my eyes felt like they were full of sand. When Marla woke, she looked at me with horror. "You look like hell," she whispered. "I'm not letting him have her," I muttered. "Who?" she asked. I didn't answer. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, but Ava keeps telling me the same thing over and over every time I ask what to do. Do not sleep. So I sit here, crowbar in hand, listening to the walls. And I don't sleep. I don't remember falling asleep. I must have, though, because I jolted awake to the sound of Emma screaming again. I stumbled to my feet, crowbar slipping from numb fingers, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The room was pitch black except for the faint glow of the nightlight by Emma's bed. Marla was already there, clutching Emma, who was sobbing into her mother's shoulder. "He was here!" Emma shrieked. "He was standing next to my bed. He said he wanted to take me into the wall." I grabbed Marla by the shoulders. "What did you see?" "Nothing," she hissed, shaking me off. She just started screaming. I didn't see anything. The wall behind Emma's bed shivered, just slightly, as though something had slithered away from it. I clenched my jaw, scooped Emma up, and carried her into our bedroom. "You're scaring her," Marla whispered as I tucked Emma into the middle of our bed. "I don't care," I said. "I'm not letting her out of my sight." I stayed awake the rest of the night, crowbar resting on my knee, eyes fixed on the shadows crawling across the walls as dawn approached. When morning came, Marla insisted we take Emma to her sister's place for a few days. I tried to argue, but she wouldn't listen. "You're exhausted," she said, voice trembling. "You're seeing things, hearing things. We need to get out of this house before you completely lose your mind." I tried to explain about Ava, about the voice in the walls, about the thing whispering Emma's name, but Marla just shook her head. "You're scaring me," she whispered. "I don't know what's real anymore, but I'm not going to let Emma live in a place where you're like this." She packed quickly, scooping clothes into bags, while Emma sat silently on the bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit. I begged her not to go, but she wouldn't look at me. Before she left, I pulled Emma aside. "If you hear the voice again, don't answer it," I whispered. "Promise me." She nodded, wide-eyed. Then they were gone, the car rattling down the driveway as I stood on the porch, feeling like my guts had been scooped out and left in the dirt. I went back inside, locking the door behind me. The house felt too big, every floorboard groaning like an old man's bones. I walked into the kitchen and plugged Ava back in. The speaker flickered, LED ring pulsing blue. "Ava," I whispered, voice hoarse. "What is he?" There was a pause, then. "He is the one who was here before me." I felt my scalp prickle. "What does he want?" "He wants Emma," Ava said. "Why?" "Because she is small, because he was here before, because he took the last child who lived here." I felt my knees buckle. I grabbed the counter, trying to steady myself. "What do I do?" "Do not open the walls," Ava said softly. "Do not sleep." I stumbled into the living room, grabbing a half-empty bottle of whiskey and sinking into the couch. I drank until my vision blurred, hoping the burn would wipe away the memory of Emma's terrified face. I must have dozed off, because I woke to the sound of scratching again, louder this time, so loud it felt like claws raking against my skull. I leapt up, crowbar in hand, rushing into Emma's empty room. The plywood I'd nailed over the hole in the wall shivered, bulging inward, as though something was pushing from the other side. "Ava!" I gasped. "What is he doing?" "He is looking for Emma," Ava said from the hallway speaker. "He thinks she is still here." I pressed the crowbar against the plywood, bracing it with my weight. The bulge subsided, the scratching retreating like receding thunder. "Do not open the wall," Ava whispered again. I stayed there the rest of the night, crowbar pressed tight against the wall, sweat dripping into my eyes. Every so often, I heard a voice whispering Emma's name, long and low, almost gentle. I wanted to claw the walls open and rip whatever was inside to pieces, but Ava kept saying the same thing, over and over, from every speaker in the house. "Do not open the wall. Do not sleep." The next day, I called Marla again. I needed to hear Emma's voice, to know she was safe. Marla sounded exhausted. "She's sleepwalking," she whispered. "I keep finding her standing in the hallway, staring at the wall, mumbling. She keeps saying something about wanting to go home." My heart sank. "You can't stay there," I whispered. "You have to come back." "Back to what?" Marla snapped. "Back to you barricading yourself in rooms? Back to listening to the walls?" "It's safer here," I said, voice breaking. "Ava, it's keeping him out. I don't know how long it'll hold, but it's something." She hung up on me. That night, the scratching returned, furious and relentless. I heard something slam against the plywood so hard the nails squealed. The speakers crackled to life, Ava's voice almost frantic. "He is here. He is angry. Do not let him in." "I want to end this," I screamed. "I want him gone." "He cannot be ended," Ava whispered. "Only delayed. Do not sleep." I didn't sleep. I sat there all night, crowbar in my hands, while the wall bulged and pulsed, while something inside it whispered Emma's name over and over again. In the morning, Ava spoke softly. "He is weakening. He cannot break through yet." I laughed, a dry, cracked sound. "Yet?" "He will not stop," Ava said. "But I can protect you. Do not sleep." So I sit here now, eyes bloodshot, every light in the house blazing, listening to the walls and waiting. Because I know the moment I close my eyes, he'll come through. And he'll take my little girl with him. The third night alone nearly broke me. I hadn't slept in over 60 hours, running on cold coffee, whiskey fumes, and the constant background whisper of Emma's name coming from the walls. My eyes stung every time I blinked. My hands ached from gripping the crowbar so hard the handle had left deep grooves in my palms. Ava whispered to me almost constantly now. Every few minutes, a soft hiss from the nearest speaker. "Do not sleep. He is waiting." Sometimes I'd snap at her. "What does he want with Emma?" I'd snarl into the darkness. Ava always answered the same way. "He wants her eyes. He wants her voice." The first time she said it, I nearly threw up. The image was too clear, too hideous, a dry figure in the wall peeling away the plaster with long, thin fingers, reaching for Emma in her sleep. The second night Marla had been gone, I dreamed, just for a moment, in a daze on the couch, that Emma was standing in the hallway calling for me. Her voice was soft, almost shy. But when I opened my eyes, there was no one there. Just the faint drag of something moving inside the wall behind the drywall, scratching and whispering. I jolted up, smashing the whiskey bottle against the floor, screaming at the walls, "Leave her alone." The scratching retreated, fading into the far end of the house, like whatever was in there was laughing at me. That morning, the phone rang. Marla, voice shaking. "She tried to leave the house last night, Emma. I found her at the door, whispering about going home. She said he told her to come. He said you were waiting." I nearly dropped the phone. "Don't let her out of your sight," I hissed. "Don't let her out of the house." Marla sobbed. "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you." "Bring her home," I whispered. "Bring her here. It's the only place he can't reach her." Marla hung up without answering. That night, the whispering in the walls stopped. The silence was worse, somehow, a heavy weight pressing on my chest. Ava was silent too. The LED rings on every speaker had gone dark. I called out, whispering at first, then shouting, "Ava, are you there? Talk to me." No response. Then, from upstairs in Emma's room, a soft, dry voice. "She can't help you now." I froze, crowbar in hand. The voice came again, closer, just beyond the cracked plywood covering the hole I'd made in the wall. "She can't keep me out anymore." Something slammed against the wall so hard the plywood cracked down the middle, a fine line of splintering wood. I staggered back, heart thudding in my throat. "Ava," I screamed. From the speaker in the hallway, a flicker of static, then her voice, thin and strained. "Do not let him in." The speaker sparked and died, a curl of smoke rising from its base. I backed into the hallway, breathing hard. Upstairs, the cracking of wood continued, the plywood splintering, the wall itself groaning as though something massive was pushing against it from the other side. Then the whisper came again, soft and coaxing. "Emma, Emma, come play in the walls." I wanted to run. Every part of me wanted to run, but I couldn't leave the house, couldn't leave Emma behind, even if she wasn't here, even if this thing was just using her voice. The lights flickered and went out. Total darkness swallowed the hallway. I pressed myself against the wall, clutching the crowbar so tight my knuckles ached. Then I heard it, a soft, dragging step at the top of the stairs. A low hiss, something like dry breath on old paper. I whispered into the dark, voice shaking. "Ava, help me." From the speaker by the door, a faint crackle. Then, "He is here." A shadow shifted at the top of the stairs, just beyond the reach of the dim light filtering through the window. A shape too thin, too tall, its head cocked at an impossible angle. Then, in Emma's voice, it said, "Daddy, I'm cold." I nearly dropped the crowbar. My mind screamed at me to run, but I forced myself to stand my ground. I took a slow step forward, peering into the gloom. The shape at the top of the stairs tilted its head, and I saw the glimmer of teeth in a mouth too wide, too full of cracks. Something dripped from between its jaws, splattering on the wooden floorboards. I gripped the crowbar tighter. "You're not her," I whispered. The thing shivered, its skin rippling as though 1,000 hands moved beneath it. Then it let out a dry, rattling laugh, so soft it sounded like paper tearing. I stumbled back into the living room, nearly tripping over the couch. The lights sputtered, flickered, then snapped back on. The thing at the top of the stairs was gone. Just empty hallway, peeling wallpaper, and the faint echo of that awful laugh fading into the walls. The speaker in the kitchen sparked back to life. Ava's voice was ragged, strained. "Do not let him in. Do not open the walls." "I'm trying," I whispered, sinking to the floor. "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Ava said nothing. I don't know how long I sat there, crowbar across my lap, staring into the shadows that clung to the corners of the room. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the loose shutters, making the old house creak and groan. Somewhere in the walls, the whispering started again. But this time, it didn't say Emma's name. This time, it said mine. The whispering didn't stop. It was nearly dawn by the time I realized it wasn't just coming from the walls anymore. It was everywhere, echoing softly from the floorboards, drifting out of the vents, seeping from under door frames. My name, over and over, drawn out in that dry hiss. Daniel. I clenched the crowbar, refusing to answer. Every muscle in my body felt like it was tied to a weight pulling me under. Every breath a fight against exhaustion. My eyes burned. I could barely think. The house was silent, except for that whisper. The wind outside had died. Even the old timbers of the house seemed to hold their breath. I glanced at the speakers. Ava was silent, dead. I tried whispering her name, but there was no flicker of light, no soothing hum, just empty plastic shells, useless. I couldn't stop the thought creeping into my skull. Maybe this is how it ends. Maybe he already won. Suddenly, the front door slammed open. Cold morning light spilled into the living room, and Marla rushed in, hair tangled, eyes wild. Emma was in her arms, half asleep, clutching her rabbit. I staggered up, crowbar clattering to the floor. "What are you doing here?" I rasped. Marla looked past me, eyes wide. He followed us. I don't know how, but he followed us. Emma kept whispering to the walls all night. She kept saying, he told her to come home. I felt my stomach twist into a hard knot. "He wants her here," I whispered. "That's what he wanted all along." Marla backed toward the door. "We can't stay," she said. "We have to go, now." Before I could answer, Emma lifted her head, blinking sleepily. "He's here," she whispered. "He's in the wall." Something slammed into the house, thin, deep, thunderous blow that rattled the windows in their frames. The floor shivered under my feet. Plaster dust rained from the ceiling. Marla screamed. Another blow. This one cracked the wall near the stairs, a jagged fissure splitting the plaster from floor to ceiling. I grabbed Marla's arm. "Upstairs," I hissed. "Get her upstairs." We ran, Emma sobbing into Marla's shoulder, up the old creaking staircase. The hallway was dark, the light bulbs above us dead and cold. The air smelled like dust and mold, and something else, something sour and rotting. At the end of the hall, the plywood over Emma's wall had split completely. The hole gaped wide, black and slick, as though the inside of the house had become one vast mouth. The whispering poured out of it now, louder than ever. Not just my name, Emma's too, over and over, in dozens of dry, rasping voices. I backed away, pressing Marla and Emma into our bedroom. "Lock the door," I said, breathless. Marla slammed the door shut. I could hear Emma crying, asking for her rabbit, asking for the voices to stop. I turned to the wall in the hallway, crowbar ready. A shape shifted inside the hole, slick and grey and bone-thin, wriggling closer to the opening. From the speaker in Emma's room dead just minutes ago, Ava crackled to life. "I cannot hold him, Juan." Then it went silent again, sparks hissing from the casing. The shape in the wall pulled itself further out. A face emerged cracked, hollow, stretched too thin over an impossible skull. A gaping mouth opened in a voiceless scream. I swung the crowbar, smashing it across the face. Dry flakes of skin fluttered away like ash. The thing recoiled, but its mouth twisted into a grin, jagged teeth clicking together. It whispered, "Emma, Emma." I swung again, but the crowbar passed through air. The thing dissolved, slipping back into the hole, the whispering growing frantic, fevered. I pounded on our bedroom door. "Get out," I shouted. "Go out the window. Take Emma. Go." Marla threw the door open, Emma in her arms. She tried to push past me, but I grabbed her, pulling her back. "Don't go into the hallway," I whispered. "He's in the walls. He's everywhere." Marla looked at me with eyes full of fear, and something else, something like pity. Then the walls on either side of the hallway cracked wide open. Hands burst through grey, spindly, reaching fingers tipped with jagged claws. They clawed at the air, scraping across the floorboards, tearing gouges into the wood. I shoved Marla back into the room, slamming the door shut. Something pounded against the other side, rattling the old hinges. From the far corner, Ava's voice crackled from the baby monitor, soft but steady. "He will take her if you open the door." "What do I do?" I shouted, nearly sobbing. "Tell me what to do." "He cannot be destroyed," Ava whispered. "Only delayed. You must seal the walls again. Do not let him through." I looked at the door. The old wood was splintering, grey fingers clawing through the cracks. Emma screamed. Ava crackled again. "He will always find her. He will always want her. Only I can hold him back." "What do you need?" I whispered, voice breaking. A pause. Then, "You must give me the house. Everything. Forever. I will become the walls. I will seal him away. But you must leave." I felt sick. I looked at Marla, at Emma's tear-streaked face. "Do it," I whispered. The house shuddered. Every speaker in the walls screamed with static. A sound like tearing metal filled the air. The hands vanished from the hallway, retreating into the cracked plaster. The walls rippled, pulsing like flesh, then slowly knit themselves shut, the cracks vanishing. The door burst open. I staggered back. The hallway was empty, silent. Ava's voice drifted from every speaker at once, calm and soft again. "Take them and leave. Do not return." I didn't question it. I grabbed Marla and Emma, pulling them down the stairs, through the front door, into the cold grey morning. Behind us, the house shivered. I heard walls groan and shift, wood creaking and snapping. Then, silence. We stood in the yard, staring up at the old house as the sun broke over the trees. The front door shut by itself, the windows going dark. The house seemed smaller somehow, hunched in on itself. Emma whimpered. "I don't want to go back," she whispered. I hugged her tighter. "We're not going back," I said. "Ever." We left that day, driving until the old place vanished behind the trees. We never spoke of it again, never went back, left everything behind: furniture, clothes, photos, all of it. The house belonged to Ava now. Ava belonged to whatever Ava had become. Sometimes, at night, I lie awake, listening to the silence of our new apartment, wondering if Emma still hears the voice in her dreams, wondering if it still wants her eyes, her voice. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I swear I hear Ava whisper, soft and faint, from nowhere. "He is still in the walls.